Good night, stranger. I see you have wandered deep into the forest and stumbled over my den. You look quite weary, and dusk has already fallen too far for you to continue a journey safely. I will invite you in, so you can rest for the night in a warm and safe space. My name is Titania, and if you let me tell you a fairy tale tonight, I'm sure you will fall asleep in no time. The Beauty and the Beast is originally a French story, and I will turn you into a little woodland creature so you can experience the fairy tale from up close. But before we begin, if you still have the device you are listening on in your hand, make sure to prepare everything for sleep. Turn off autoplay if you are watching on YouTube, or turn on a sleep timer if you use one. You can also drop an intention in the comments. Leave me an "I will fall asleep easily" comment to claim a restful night of sleep. Now, without further ado, let's start. Now you may find a comfortable position to lie down and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. I want you to think of 3 things you were grateful for today. Maybe the sun was shining. Maybe you saw something amazing. Maybe you shared a moment with a loved one. Allow yourself to be grateful for the small things. Concentrate on your breath again. Every time you inhale and exhale, feel the air flow under your nose. If there are thoughts coming up, look at them like you would look at a cloud in the sky and watch them pass by. With every exhale, your body relaxes deeper. Your feet become heavy. Your legs become heavy. Your shoulders become heavy. Your arms become heavy. Your hands become heavy. And your head becomes heavy. I am now going to count down from 5. And when I reach 1, you will be completely present in tonight's story. 5. You are completely safe and relaxed where you are in this moment in time. 4. A warm and cozy light spreads from your heart throughout your body, its golden glow filling you with a feeling of love and solace. 3. You let go of everything that is still binding you to today. 2. My voice is leading you through the light and beyond. You now feel very light on your feet. 1. You are in a modest chamber with wooden floorboards that feels unusually large. You look around and see a bed that must be at least 2 meters high. When you look down, instead of your own 2 feet, you see 4 claws and red fur. Trying to understand what is happening, you turn around and are met with a bushy tail. You are a squirrel. "Hello, little friend," a voice rings out from above, and before you know it, you are lifted high into the air. 2 wide, grey eyes are mere centimeters away from your face as you instinctively struggle to get out of the grip. But the woman does not budge, letting out a delighted sound. "You're so cute," she coos, caressing your head with a gentle finger, making you calm down almost instantly. It does feel quite nice and comforting to be held like that. "Who are you?" you ask, surprised that you can actually talk in your animal state. "Oh," the woman gasps, "you can talk. You must be a benevolent spirit sent to me from a fairy godmother." "My name is Isabelle," she says, remembering your question. "And what would your name be?" You tell her your name. "You're lucky," she says. "I still have some leftover seeds from the work on the field." She hoists you onto her shoulder and sticks a hand in the pocket of her apron, producing a few kernels she then holds up for you to grasp with your paws. As you gnaw at the delicious snack, the clopping of hooves and clamor sounds from outside. Isabelle steps to the window to look into the courtyard. You can make out a prancing horse and a man riding it, as Isabelle gasps and clasps her hands over her mouth. "Father," she breathes, and you have just a second to dig your paws into the shoulder of her dress before she storms out of the room and down the stairs. The man has dismounted once you reach the courtyard. His grey hair is disheveled, and his eyes are wide. There are 2 girls and 3 boys crowding around him, but as soon as he lays eyes on Isabelle, he breaks into tears. You notice a red rose in his hand that he carefully holds out to her. "Take this rose, my child," he says. "It will cost me dearly." "What's wrong, father? Why are you crying?" Isabelle asks, her eyebrows scrunched together with worry. He looks around the young people surrounding him, who you assume are his other children, Isabelle's siblings. Consequently, he takes a deep breath and says, "I traveled to the harbor, but once I arrived, my cargo had already been distributed because it had taken me so many months to get there." He gulps as Isabelle's sisters groan. "So we will continue to be poor," one of them mutters. Then he continues, "On my way back, I got lost in a storm, but my loyal horse led me to a beautiful palace in the woods. When I entered, I could not find a single soul around, but food was laid out on the table in the hall, so I had dinner and found a decked room to sleep in. The next morning, I awoke and found breakfast set up, but once again, no trace of any living being around. So I ate and decided to set forth. When I stepped outside, I found a beautiful garden full of blooming rose bushes. This is where I picked this very flower, because I remembered our Isabelle wishing for no gift other than a rose, once I returned from my travels. But right when I broke off the rose, a beast appeared in the garden, a horrible beast." There's genuine fear in his eyes as his children look at each other with raised eyebrows. "The beast was not amused that I took one of his roses, and he wanted to kill me. I tried to explain everything, and when he heard I wanted to give the rose to one of my daughters, he told me he would let me go if one of them would take my place and come to the castle." The girls gasp, opening their mouths to say something, but cutting them off, their father continues in a shaky voice, "Of course, I'm not planning on sending any of you there. I just took the chance to see you one more time, to say goodbye." "And all because Isabelle wanted a stupid rose," one of the sisters moans. "Why could she not ask for something normal, like a dress, as we did? How are you not even crying, even though we are going to lose our father because of you?" You want to ask them how it is Isabelle's fault that her father picked a rose from a private garden, but then refrain yourself. It might be wiser to not let everybody know that you can talk. "There's no need to cry," Isabelle suddenly says, and as you look up at her face, it looks stoic. Of course I am going to the palace and stay with the beast in our father's stead. Stop it, my child, the man interjects. I am old, and it will not matter if I die. I will return to the beast alone. No, Isabelle says in a concerned voice. It matters to me. Even if you were to go alone, you could not stop me from following you. Her father looks at Isabelle for a prolonged moment and then sighs. From what you can gather, he seems convinced that Isabelle will stick with her word. I will return there tomorrow, he finally announces quietly. Please understand that I will now retire to my chamber. I am very tired. The old man wipes a tear from his eye, grabs his suitcase, and disappears into the house. I will make sure that all work in the house is done before we depart tomorrow, Isabelle addresses her siblings, and returns to her chamber, where she starts to sweep at the floor abrasively. For a second you don't dare to speak up, because her face is blank, like set in stone, but then you ask, why do you need to go to the palace anyway? The beast doesn't know where you are. You could just stay here and nothing would happen. My father is a man of his word, Isabelle says, stepping out of her room to start sweeping the stairs, and he taught me the importance of honoring a pledge, so I must go. Besides, if the beast finds out where we live, my whole family might be in danger. You sigh. There's no talking her out of it. So you climb down her body and curl up in one of the pockets of her apron, while she performs household chores. When night falls, Isabelle ceases to clean. She wakes you from your slumber and says, I will go and talk to father. There are some family matters that need to be discussed before I'm gone. You return to your original position on her shoulder as she makes her way to her father's room. After a soft knock on the door, you can hear a faint, "Come in." "Father," Isabelle says, entering the dimly lit room, not much bigger than her own. He welcomes her with a tight embrace, and you jump onto Isabelle's head as not to be in the way. They don't let go of each other for a long time. "Who is your little friend?" Isabelle's father asks, and she tells him your name. "But that is not why I'm here. While you were away, 2 noblemen asked to marry my sisters. Please marry them off quickly so that they are well taken care of, and you don't need to worry about money matters." "Money!" the old man exclaims, slapping a hand over his forehead. "I completely forgot about that. The beast let me fill up my suitcase with gold. I can use it for your sister's dowry." "That's amazing," Isabelle is smiling now. "That way I don't need to worry about your future." They wish each other a good night, and with a last hug, Isabelle takes her leave. The next morning, Isabelle climbs the horse behind her father, with you in her coat pocket, poking your head out so you can observe your surroundings. All the siblings stand in the courtyard lit by the morning sun, its light reflecting off their cheeks that are wet from crying. You look up at Isabelle, but she looks composed, as not to add to the family's distress. While Isabelle and her father discuss how to make her journey more comfortable, you notice Isabelle's sisters passing an onion around, rubbing it in their eyes to make themselves cry. You gasp. They really don't like her. What a pity. They are about to lose someone who is really kind. "Farewell," Isabelle calls out to her siblings, turning around to them one last time. "I love you." The horse leads the way back to the palace, over vast fields and dark woods. By evening, a formidable palace appears between the trees on the horizon, illuminated like a torch in the dark. When you reach the courtyard and Isabelle and her father dismount, the horse trots off to the stables by itself. "This way," the old man says, and Isabelle follows him through the main door into an entry hall that is lit with golden chandeliers. Left and right to you, 2 grand staircases lead upstairs. The human's footsteps echo in the black and white marble floor. Her father opens a tall white door, decorated with gilt stucco, behind which lies an ample banquet hall with a long table ready laid for 2 people. Mountains of roast, soup, bread, salad, and cake fill the dining table, smelling deliciously. You immediately jump on the table and hop over to a bowl with walnuts in it, grabbing a pawful and eating them with relish after the long journey. You notice that Isabelle's father doesn't eat, sitting silently on his chair and staring at the food instead. When Isabelle notices, she fills his plate and passes it back to him, smiling encouragingly. You are done eating before the humans finish and scurry back towards Isabelle so you can sit down next to her plate. She leans down to you and whispers, "We could never finish all this food. Maybe the beast wants to fatten me so it can eat me later." You send her a worried glance and come to the decision that you will prevent any harm coming her way to your best ability. Suddenly, a sound reverberates through the hall, a mixture of a shriek and a roar, and Isabelle's father jumps in his seat, quickly grabbing his daughter's hand. From a doorway to the side of the banquet hall, the beast appears. It is tall, with a head that is completely covered in dark brown fur. Dark eyes are set deep under its brow, and it wears human clothes, a purple waistcoat and breeches. Its hands are also covered in fur. You can see that Isabelle is shaking, so you climb back onto her shoulder and nestle against the curve of her neck. The beast approaches her carefully, staring at her beautiful face. "Did you come here out of the goodness of your heart to save your father?" it asks with a deep rumbling voice. With a slight wobble to her voice, Isabelle answers, "Yes." The beast nods and continues, "That is very kind of you, and I am very grateful." Then it turns to the old man. "But you, good and honest man, have to depart in the morning, and do not think of ever coming back here. Good night, beautiful Isabelle." "Good night," Isabelle replies quietly. With that, the beast turns on its heel and disappears as quickly as it had emerged from the shadows. "My darling," Isabelle's father pulls her into a hug so you grab onto her hair as not to fall. "Please, I'm half dead with horror. Won't you let me stay here so you can go home?" "No, father," Isabelle chuckles, touching his face with an affectionate gesture. "You will leave tomorrow and deliver me to the assistance of the heavens. Maybe they will have mercy on me." The old man shows you to the room he slept in during his first stay, where 2 beds are made up, ready for the night. Curling up next to Isabelle's head, you are worried that no one in your little group will be able to fall asleep while thinking about what tomorrow will bring, but as soon as you put your head down, you drift off into dreamland. "Father, don't cry," Isabelle's gentle voice wakes you the next morning. She is calming down her father, who is kneeling between the beds, crying. "I had a dream," Isabelle continues, "in which a fairy godmother spoke to me. She said that she was satisfied with my good heart. She said, my good deed of giving my life to save you won't go without reward. I can only pray that this dream contains a grain of truth," her father sobs as Isabelle smoothes her hand over his unruly grey hair. When he eventually leaves, Isabelle stands at the door, waving long after he has disappeared into the forest. Silently, she walks to the banquet hall and drops into a chair. Right when you consider saying something to console her, she covers her face with her hands and weeps. You hug her neck and tell her, It's okay to cry. I will protect you. That makes her laugh, and she suddenly slaps her hand against her thighs, abruptly stopping her crying. If I have not much time left to live, I should at least enjoy myself, shouldn't I? She asks you, and you nod enthusiastically. So you stroll about the castle together, admiring its beautiful and intricate architecture. Expertly crafted wood panels cover the walls of the dining room. Luxurious foreign carpets lay in front of an elaborately adorned fireplace of a homely sitting room. Colorful paintings in golden frames hang on the walls, and upstairs a gallery runs around the first story, revealing a ceiling fresco that shows Cupid with spread wings in a loving embrace with Psyche. Isabelle gasps and points at the details she finds especially lovely, appreciating the quality of craftsmanship. Walking back into one of the hallways, you point at one of the doors. "Isabelle, look!" you exclaim. Over the doorframe it says, "Isabelle's room." She hurries over to the door to open it, and a shocked sound escapes her mouth. You are almost blinded by the grandeur of the bedroom, as you try to take everything in. "I have never seen such a big room for one person," you say, amazement resonating in your voice. Isabelle slowly takes a few steps into the room, spinning around to look at everything. On the left wall sits a giant canopy bed. The ceiling-high glass window provides a view into the palace garden and a sufficient amount of daylight in the room. On the right, the room extends into a personal library, walls entirely covered in bookshelves, the highest of which can be reached with wooden ladders. Next to a pair of armchairs on the floor, your eyes fall on a grand piano and a side table with a stack of music books. "This is unbelievable," Isabelle calls out. "It looks like I'm not supposed to get bored here," she mutters, a thoughtful crease appearing on her forehead. "It looks like I'm supposed to stay here for a long time." She walks over to one of the bookcases and opens both of its doors with considerable momentum. Propped up on one of the shelves is a thick book, opened on a page that reads, "Wish, command. You are the queen and the woman here." "I only wish to see my poor father and to know what he is doing," Isabelle mutters, more to herself, but in a tall mirror next to the bookcase, something starts moving. Isabelle turns with a start, and you see an image of her father, who is just now arriving at his house. While he looks sad, Isabelle's sisters, who you can see stepping outside, have big smiles on their faces. Then the image vanishes. "The beast really is an agreeable host," Isabelle says quietly. The beast does not show up during lunch, but the table is once again set, and a concert is playing, though neither you nor Isabelle can find any musicians or instruments. For dinner, you hear the roaring sound announcing the beast's arrival. "Isabelle, will you allow me to dine with you?" the beast asks. "You are in command here," Isabelle replies, and then pauses with bated breath. Her wide, grey eyes tell you that she is still scared of the beast. After all, it hasn't revealed its intentions yet. "No," the beast says. "No one is in command but you. So if I am making you uncomfortable, you just need to tell me, and I will leave at once. Tell me, don't you think I'm terribly ugly?" Isabelle gulps and says, "I cannot lie and call you beautiful. But I don't think it matters much. I think you are quite good." "Even if you are correct," the beast says, "not only am I ugly, but I don't have any wit either. I am aware that I am a dumb creature." Don't be foolish, Isabelle says, creasing her brow. One is not a dumb creature simply because one does not have any wit. The beast chuckles. Well, then let us eat. And please feel free to entertain yourself with everything in this palace, so you don't have to feel bored. That would displease me greatly. That is very kind of you, Isabelle acknowledges. I must admit that I am quite content with your heart. Your appearance doesn't seem as terrifying when I'm talking to you. Oh, yes, the beast laughs. I have a good heart, but I'm still a monster. There are many people who are more monster than you are, Isabelle protests, and I prefer you looking like an animal than someone who looks like a human but hides a depraved and ungrateful heart. If I had any wit, the beast replies, I would be able to appropriately thank you for this great compliment. But I'm stupid, so everything I can say is that I am much obliged. After that you eat in silence, but as you look up at Isabelle from your hazelnuts, she looks more relaxed than before, enjoying her hearty meal. Only to be interrupted by the beast's sudden question, Isabelle, will you be my wife? Isabelle gasps, and you spit out the water you had been drinking from a saucer she had laid out for you. It seems like an eternity passes before Isabelle answers, No, beast. The beast's following sigh is so loud that it echoes from the walls of the dining hall. Its voice sounds dejected when it says, Good night, Isabelle. When you are alone, Isabelle looks at you and shakes her head. It is really a pity that he looks so scary and is so insecure. He seems very kind otherwise. The days in the palace go by, following a similar routine. You and Isabelle spend the day playing music, reading and walking in the garden. At 9 on the dot, the beast comes out for dinner and cultivates conversations with Isabelle. Then it asks her to marry him, to which she always replies with no. You notice that they get closer though, and the beast pays great attention to everything Isabelle tells him during their shared dinner. He remembers what books she is reading and what she likes about them, or what piece of music she learns to play on the piano. Isabelle finds out that he enjoys growing rose varieties of different colors in his garden. Despite their growing friendship, you notice that the beast keeps talking negatively about himself, constantly mentioning how dumb and ugly he is. One night, a few weeks after you moved into the palace, Isabelle leaves dinner early after rejecting the beast's proposal once again. You take your chance to hop over to the beast and look it in the eye. What is it? He wonders. You must not act like a victim all the time, you say earnestly. A questioning sound escapes the beast and you shake your head exasperatedly. You do not need to announce your deficits, you say. People will form their own opinion about what they don't like about you. There's no need to put things in their heads preemptively. You live in a beautiful castle that is full of magic, that maintains itself, where food appears on the table and music plays without an orchestra. You dine every night with a beautiful woman who is kind, courageous, smart, and benevolent. And she enjoys your company. Sure, she might not want to marry you, and sure, you look like a fairy animal, but so do I, albeit a cuter one. But there's nothing to not be grateful about. The one thing you cannot change in your life is how you look, so stop focusing on that so much. When you finish your rant, the beast just stares at you. Then it nods and withdraws silently. More weeks pass, and to your astonishment, the beast seems to have taken your advice to heart. Instead of continuing its self-deprecating talk, in its conversations with Isabelle, it now tries to focus on the positive aspects of life in the castle. Yet, it still looks very defeated every time Isabelle declines its proposal. Meanwhile, you and Isabelle keep an eye on her father through the magic mirror. Unfortunately, he seems to have fallen ill with the grief of losing his daughter. One day, Isabelle tells the beast, "You offend me. I wish I could marry you. It's just that I have to be honest and cannot pretend that it will happen. I will always be your good friend. I hope you can be satisfied with that." "I have to be," the beast sighs. "Though I am quite hideous, I love you very much, so I am happy enough that you are staying here. Please," he suddenly pleads, his voice sounding emotional, "promise me that you are not going to leave me." Isabelle blushes a bit, and you know it's because Isabelle told you earlier today that she wanted to ask the beast if she could visit her father. "I could promise you that I will never leave. However, I do so wish to see my father again, and I would feel like dying if you were to deny me that wish." "I would rather die myself," the beast says, "than to cause you any pain. I will send you to your father. You can stay with him, and I myself will die of sorrow." "No," Isabelle protests. "You are too dear to me, and I do not want to be responsible for your death. I promise that I will return in 8 days. The mirror in my room showed me that my sisters were married off, and my brothers went to become soldiers, so my father is all alone. Please allow me to stay with him for a week." "You will be with him in the morning," the beast says with a sigh. "But please remember your promise. If you want to return, put your ring on a table before you go to bed." "You look sad," you tell Isabelle later that night, when you are curled up next to each other in bed. "I know," she huffs. "I feel sorry that the beast is so unhappy, but I really miss my father too." In the morning, the both of you wake up in the house of Isabelle's father, in the same chamber where you first met her. Isabelle pulls the bell next to her bed, and a maid comes rushing in, looking confused. As she lays eyes on Isabelle, she screams and clasps a hand over her chest. "Miss Isabelle, what are you doing here?" she exclaims. The noise must have woken Isabelle's father, because he storms into the room only a minute later, letting out a startled sound. He throws his arms around his daughter and holds her close for what feels like an eternity. After a while, Isabelle detaches herself from her father. "I did not bring any clothes to wear," she calls out, but the maid, who had left the room to prepare breakfast, interrupts her. "I found a big trunk full of gowns covered in gold and diamonds. The beast must have sent them," Isabelle mutters, and immediately goes to grab the plainest dress in a soft light blue. "I could give the other dresses to my sisters," Isabelle ponders. But just as she says it, the trunk vanishes, and you gasp from your place on top of her head. "It seems like the beast wants you to keep these gowns for yourself," Isabelle's father says, and the trunk immediately reappears. "I will call for your sisters," he laughs, and leaves the room so Isabelle can get dressed. You climb to the floor for the same reason. "How are my sisters?" she asks the maid, while slipping into the dress. "Both of them are married," the maid helps Isabelle with fastening the dress. "Tell me about their husbands," Isabelle requests, and the maid giggles. "The husband of the eldest sister is very beautiful like Cupid himself. But he is very vain and only cares about his looks. Sometimes he seems contemptuous of his wife's beauty. The second husband is very witty, but only uses his wit to make fun of everyone around him, especially his wife." When she is dressed and the maid leaves the room, Isabelle turns around and extends one of her hands to pick you up again. "You look like a princess," you say, and jump onto her hand. The sisters arrive with their husbands, and what the maid has told you is proven true. Isabelle's sisters hug her, but you keep an eye on them because you have not forgotten about the onion. You see the jealousy in their eyes as Isabelle tells the family about her life in the castle and how happy she is there. That is why you decide to follow the sisters when they excuse themselves to the garden. In order to conceal yourself, you climb up a big apple tree and jump from branch to branch to keep up with the sisters walking below you and to listen to their conversation. What did she do to deserve such happiness? Aren't we much more agreeable than her? The oldest says, "I have an idea. We need to make sure that she stays here longer than 8 days. Maybe the beast will get angry and eat her." You feel alarmed hearing this. They are much more hostile than you previously thought. "You're right," the other sister replies. "We have to be kind to her so she will stay longer." As you try to make your way back into the house, one of the sisters spots you. "There's that rat she's been carrying around," she says, and shoos you away. They then close the door behind them, so you can enter the house. Whenever you try to sneak inside through a window or door to get to Isabelle, at least one of her sisters is doting on her and makes sure you cannot come in. So you stay in the garden, collecting seeds from the plants and observing the house. At night, the windows are locked, so even if Isabelle is alone in her bed, you cannot reach her. On day 9, you awake anxiously on the roof of the house, and as you peep through the window, Isabelle, to your dismay, is still there. You need to do something. Luckily, the maid comes out a while later, carrying a basket with her. She starts to collect apples, and as she looks away for a second, you slip into the basket and are carried with the apples into the house. Isabelle is at breakfast with her family, therefore you dart into her room and hide under the bed. It's dark and boring there, and you can't do anything but use the day to rest and wait for Isabelle. When she returns to her room at night, you wait till she closes the door behind her and jump out from under the bed. Isabelle startles and then kneels down to pick you up. "There you are," she whispers. "Where have you been all this time?" "Your sisters locked me out," you say. "They wanted to get you to stay longer, so the beast will get angry and eat you." For a second, Isabelle closes her eyes. "I don't think the beast would ever hurt me," she finally answers. "And I told them I will stay a week longer because I really missed everybody, and they are being really nice to me." You let out an angry chatter. "I thought your father taught you to keep your promises. What about your promise to the beast?" "I know," Isabelle sighs. "But now I have stayed here longer than a week anyway. So what are a few more days?" "I can't believe you," you say angrily, but take your place on Isabelle's bed for the night, in case she changes her mind. You are awoken by Isabelle's sobs and immediately perk up. "What is wrong?" you whisper. "I had a nightmare," she replies. "The beast was lying on the lawn of the palace garden and calling out for me. It looked like he was dying. How vicious of me, causing a beast who has been so kind to me so much hurt. He has a good heart, which is more important than anything. I can't even remember why I did not want to marry him. I would be more happy with him than my sisters are with their husbands. Neither beauty nor wit of a man can make me happy, but excellence of character, virtue, and complacence. The beast has all these positive traits. I feel nothing but esteem and friendship for the beast, so how could I break my promise so easily? I will blame myself for being ungrateful for the rest of my life if I don't go back now." With that, Isabelle gets up from the bed and puts her ring on the table. A great drowsiness overcomes you, and you fall asleep as soon as Isabelle lies down next to you again. You come to the next morning in Isabelle's room in the palace. She quickly gets dressed in a splendid royal blue dress and places you on her shoulder so you can look for the beast on the palace premises. Since it is nowhere to be found, Isabelle says, "Maybe it will only appear at 9 o'clock for dinner like it usually does." But 9 o'clock comes and goes without a sign of the beast. You can tell that Isabelle is getting very nervous. "What if my dream was true and he is really dead?" she cries. Together you search the whole palace, with Isabelle calling out for the whole time until her throat gets sore. Finally, you get to the garden. Between trellises of blooming red roses, the beast lies stretched out. You jump onto the beast's chest and feel its heartbeat under your paws. "He is still alive!" you exclaim. Isabelle grabs a watering bucket and swiftly fetches some water from the canal. You get out of the way as she pours it on the beast's head. You hear a low groaning sound, and the beast opens his eyes, looking at Isabelle in wonder. "I thought you had left forever, and I was so afflicted for having lost you that I was to die from grief. But since I have the happiness of seeing you once more, I shall die satisfied." "No, dear beast," Isabelle says, "you must not die. Live to be my husband. I give you my hand and swear to be yours. I thought I had only friendship for you, but the grief I now feel convinces me that I cannot live without you." The moment the words leave her mouth, the palace begins to sparkle with light and fireworks, and music starts playing like some great celebration is about to take place. As both of you turn back to the beast, you gasp in surprise. The beast disappeared, and at Isabelle's feet sits a beautiful prince, beautiful like Cupid himself. "Where's the beast?" Isabelle asks in a confused tone. "You see him at your feet," the prince says. "A wicked fairy had condemned me to remain in that shape, until someone should consent to marry me. The fairy enjoined me to conceal my wit. There was only you in the world generous enough to be won by my temper, and in offering you my crown, I can't return the obligations I have to you." Isabelle holds out her hand for the prince to get up, and you climb up her skirt. Together you walk into the castle, and Isabelle lets out a shout of joy as you find, in the great hall, her father and his whole family. "That is the fairy godmother I saw in my dream on my first night here," Isabelle says, pointing at a beautiful lady next to them. "Isabelle," says this lady, "come and receive the reward for your choice. You have preferred virtue before either wit or beauty, and deserve to find a person in whom all these qualifications are united. You are going to be a great queen. I hope the throne will not lessen your virtue or make you forget yourself. As to you, ladies," said the fairy to Isabelle's two sisters, "I know your hearts and all the malice they contain. Become two statues, but still retain your reason. You shall stand before your sister's palace gate, and be it your punishment to behold her happiness. And it will not be in your power to return to your former state until you own your faults. Immediately, the fairy gives a stroke with her wand, and in a moment, all the subjects of the kingdom and the staff in the palace reappear, rejoicing when they see their prince, and even more so when he announces his approaching marriage with Isabelle. With the cheering of the people in the background, you start to feel incredibly drowsy. Rolling up on Isabelle's shoulder, you whisper in her ear, "Congratulations to your engagement. I hope you will live happily together for a long time. I think it is time for me to leave." Isabelle chuckles and smoothes one of her fingers over your head as your eyes slowly fall closed. "Thank you, my friend," you hear her say, and your breathing gets deeper. You become aware of my voice again. I will now count to 5, and once I reach number 5, you will fall asleep. 1. You feel a comfortable and cozy warmth spread through your entire body. 2. Your muscles relax completely. 3. You feel safe and full of love. 4. Your mind is quiet and at ease. 5. You drift off into a sound and restful sleep. You are completely safe here.